all of those photos were taken on the new Zhong Yi Optics 200mm f4 1:1 macro lens. Let's talk about the technical specifications of this lens first. It's a 200mm f4 APO lens. It has a 1:1 reproduction ratio, which means whatever you're photographing will be the same size on your sensor. It's designed for a full frame 35mm sensor. The aperture goes from f4 to f32. It has a nice clickable aperture ring just here. It has 11 elements in 7 groups, 3 ultra low dispersion elements, 3 ultra high refraction index elements, and 1 ultra high transmission element. The angle of view is 12.5 degrees with a minimum focusing distance of 48 centimeters. We'll get onto that in a little bit. It has a 67mm filter thread. It's made out of metal, so it's not a plastic lens. Unfortunately, the lens does not have any type of weather sealing. The lens has clear markings on the barrel. You can see exactly where your 1:1 focusing is, as well as the apertures. You can clearly see those, and they are clickable, so when you hit those numbers, it will click into place. The size is 75mm by 186mm and weighs in at 1,300 grams. This is a heavy lens. Supported mounts are the F mount, EF, FE, RF, Z, FX and GFX. I have a sample lens here in the RF mount, and I've been using it with my Canon EOS R for the last several weeks. And it is a fully manual lens. There is no electronic coupling from the lens to the camera. So if you are using a lens like this, make sure you have the option to release the shutter without a lens attached for you to be able to use it. Check out the link in the description to their website for this lens for the technical specs and the up-to-date pricing. Currently, at the time of recording this video, I don't have the latest pricing for this lens, so do check out the link if you're interested in purchasing this lens. Well, that's the boring technical specs out the way, because technical specs or on-paper specs don't tell you everything about the lens. I want to talk to you about my experience using this lens. And I can say that it is quite a difficult lens to use. It's big, it's bulky, it's heavy, but it's only a 1:1 macro reproduction lens. But it does have a secret weapon up its sleeve. That is the working distance. This thing is designed so that you can take photos at 1:1 magnification of your subjects without disturbing them. We have a lens hood here that again is full metal construction. It has some velvet on the inside to reduce reflections and glares, and you have to screw it onto the lens. I would rather have it clip on, but you just screw it on like that, and it is a beast of a lens. We have a tripod collar here so that you can fit it to your tripod. I would recommend that. Again, it is a very heavy lens. Now, I didn't really use it with a tripod because I went out in the day and the insects were quite active and you have to chase them around, so a tripod wasn't really necessary for me. There is a vignette with this lens, and it does get quite heavy as you stop down on the f-stops, but it's nothing that you can't combat in post-production. There's a little bit of lens breathing, nothing to worry about. What I do like is the focus throw on this lens is absolutely huge. It's got a nice focusing ring. You can accurately nail focus by using the focus ring. That is very nice. The bokeh, it's okay. It's not my type of bokeh. I like smooth bokeh. It's okay, it's f4, but when you start stepping down, you can see the aperture blades in your bokeh. Again, that's down to personal choice whether you like it or not. But the secret weapon of this lens is its working distance. That is the distance between the front of the lens and your subject. Without the hood, at a 1:1 magnification, the working distance is 25 centimeters. With the lens hood on, that is reduced to 18.5. I found that I was getting a lot of photographs where I wasn't disturbing the insects by getting too close. However, if you attach a DCR 250 to the front of this 200mm lens, you're getting 3 times magnification. And at 3 times magnification, your working distance is 8 centimeters. That is huge for a 3 times magnification lens. The downside is you cannot attach the lens hood to the lens when the Raynox DCR 250 is attached to it. However, the Nissi 58mm lens that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago fits on very nicely with the hood. Unfortunately, it's not the sharpest lens out there, but again, it's nothing that you can't deal with in post-production. If you're a stippler for high quality, really sharp lenses, this probably isn't the one for you. But if you're the type of shooter who's not dedicated to macro and just likes to go out and just shoot willy-nilly in the middle of the day, this one is for you. The selling point of this lens is the working distance. Again, you're able to get one-to-one pictures of your subject without disturbing them. Being able to get into position and not disturb the insects will improve your chances of getting the shot you want. Now, due to the nature of the lens and its working distance, it's not really a lens you will use flash on. So it is more of a natural light lens. I went out in the middle of the day over at Romeo Pools in Cannock Chase. Probably the worst time to be able to go and get pictures, just to test out exactly how many pictures I could get without disturbing the insects, and I did get quite a few. So again, it's not the sharpest lens, but you can stop down a little bit to make it a bit sharper. I've been using this lens at f16 outside. I've had no problems getting decent images with it. Just bang up your post-production sharpness just a little bit to compensate. So some of the first images I got was of a red damselfly. I've got one here that is on a blade of grass. Again, I'm 25 centimeters away from this damselfly, and it didn't feel threatened at all with me being there, so I was able to just carry on shooting. I set my camera to a continuous burst and just hold down that button and just get as many shots as I can. There are quite a few damselflies there, as well as deer. Here's a shot of some deer. I'm not a nature photographer, so you have to forgive me for that. So here is a shot of my pet jumping spider that's taken in the studio. The reason I took it in the studio is A, I was testing the lens, and B, there were thunderstorms over the weekend when I wanted to go out. But I thought I'll give it a good test in the studio. You can see there, the sharpness is nothing really to worry about. Again, if you know your post-production, you can compensate for it. But we are getting a good image of my jumping spider there. This next image here is of a fly that I took as the sun was going down. So this is a natural light shot. Ordinarily, in natural light, you wouldn't be able to get close to that fly at all to be able to get a shot because, again, they get spooked. But this is a 4-image focus stack using this lens and my Canon EOS R, and it turned out beautifully. Here are some example images taken with the Canon EOS R and the 200mm f4 lens. All these images have been processed in Lightroom using my macro presets. So there you go, that is the Zhong Yi Optics 200mm f4 1:1 macro lens. If you're a dedicated macro photographer, it might not be the best lens for you. It's not the sharpest. But if you're just a casual shooter and you're having trouble getting close to your subjects, this might be the lens for you. Again, it's a fully manual lens. It is quite heavy, but that working distance is absolutely amazing. It's one of those lenses that's a specific lens for a specific use case. You want to use this lens when you can't get close to your subject. When you are in that particular use case, this lens works brilliantly. So what do you think of this 200mm f4 lens? Is it something of interest to you? Are you going to add it to your kit bag? Let me know in the comments below. I want to thank Zhong Yi Optics for sending me out this lens for review. Thank you for getting to the end of this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for sticking to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, then please subscribe and click the like button. It really does help out the channel. I want to thank my Patreon supporters for their continued support in supporting me and this channel. If you're interested in joining Patreon, then check in the description below this video for a link to Patreon. If you want to continue watching my macro journey, then click one of the videos in front of you now.